Very good morning, friends. Myself, Dr. Naval Singh Todawat, Assistant Professor in the Botany from Morishwar Arts, Science and Commerce College, Bhokardhan. Well, friend, while talking about the sex determination, what is the phenomenon of the sex determination or the concepts behind this? With this process or with these concepts, one can understand whether the organism is male or female. Most of the time, we heard in the news and the channels and newspaper, we read out the things that most of the time the peoples check the whether the upcoming baby is a male or female. So there are few processes and the techniques and the phenomenon regarding checking out these things. So sex determination is the method or the process which distinguishes or state the differences between the male and the female one. And biologically, these all things are controlled by the genes. That is, we can also call it as the genetic control. And the chromosomes of the sex, which are responsible for the separation or the determination of the sexes or the gender in this phenomenon. So, this is the biological systems which will determine the development of the sexual characteristics of the individual. Well, before touching the aspects or before going in details, what we see that there is a symbol of the male and the female organisms which is designated with this, whereas with the male one, what we see the symbol is showing the arrow one and the circle is attached or the arrow is attached to the circle, while in case of the female one, a symbol of the addition or the plus is attached to the circle from the lower side, and that will designate or that shows as a female organism. Now, when we talk about the gender and the sexes of the mammals, insects, and rest of the organisms, what we see that when the chromosomes which shows double X, then that is the homogametic, then it shows the organism is female one, that is the gender is female one. Thus, when the organism shows the chromosomes of XY, that is heterogametic, X and Y chromosomes are combined and thus give the product of the male one. With this, one can easily recognize that the organism is male one. Now, as a result of meiosis, during the formation of gametes, the egg cell contains only one type of egg. In the case of female one, in the case of male one, X and Y, it produces two type of sperms. Two sperms are present in the case of male one, out of which half of the X1, half of the Y1 consists of X chromosome and the other half consists of Y chromosome. During fertilization, the sperm containing the X chromosomes fuses with the egg. The sperm containing X chromosomes fuses with the egg and that develops the zygote and which gives the progeny of the homogametic double X chromosomes, that is female one. Now, what on the other hand, when we talk about the male one, while the sperm containing Y chromosomes and that fuses with the egg of the female one to produce or to form zygote and that produce a male one, a male gender, and it shows that is the X as well as Y chromosomes. We can also call it as heterogametic condition, whereas in case of double X or in case of female one, we can call it as the homogametic conditions. Friends, now whatever the male and female chromosomes are shown, we'll try to understand with the help of this chart or the presentation. Before touching to this aspect or before going detailed with this slide, I would like to quote one thing. The presentation of this which we are showing in this our videos or lecture is taken from the slideshare.com. We are cursing to the slideshare.com and we are thankful to the author also. We don't have any claim on this presentation and thus this is the only purpose for the mean of a teaching and nothing else. Well, come to the point. Now we look out this chart how the meiosis takes place in the sexual chromosomes and sex determination occurs. It may be male or female. Okay. So friends, whatever you are seeing in this Zoom slides, what we see here, this one is the female organisms, okay, which represent with the double X chromosomes. Now this one is the male one, which represents with the X and the Y chromosomes. Keep in the mind, this is the homogametic and this one is the heterogametic. Heterogametic, why? Because we find two different chromosomes. One is of X1 and another was Y1. Whereas while talking about the female one, we find both are the same chromosomes of the X. Similar, that is why they are to be known as the homogametic chromosomes. Well, after the fertilizations, the result of meiosis is one type of egg and two types of sperms. Okay, so when we see that when the X chromosomes of the male one, this one is the male one which designates the X and the Y chromosome, where this is the female one and it seems as a XY chromosome. When this X, half of the sperm of X and half of the sperm of the Y, where half a sperm of the male with the X containing chromosomes will get fused with the female X, will get fused with the eggs of the female. Whatever the zygote formation takes place, and it will give rise to the progeny that is the female one. That is the female one of double X. Now, this is what about the X1. On the other hand, the Y chromosomes will get, or the Y sperm will get the fertilization with the X of the female one, that is X1. What we see here, that this is the X1. Okay, this is the Y1 of the male. Now, after fusing it, whatever zygote will form, and the progeny what we get is the XY, that is the male one. So sex of the progeny is determined by the sex chromosome contained in the sperm. Are you getting it? Sex of the chromosomes which are observed here, that is of the male one, Y sperm will get fused with the X1, and what the progeny we get, that is the male organisms. So when it is male, it is assumed or not assumed, it is said to be that a concrete, that is the Y, X and Y chromosomes are present in the male one, whereas in the case of female we see the double X, that is the homogametic chromosomes. Friends, we see that when the female is called the homogametic sex, as I told you, because only one type of gamete, that is X bearing, is produced in the female one. In heterogametic, you see two different types of gamete, which are those X1 and Y1. And in one type of gamete of the female, that is the one type. Though there are two chromosomes, but the double X, there is one type. One type of the gamete is formed. In case of here, you find the two types of the gametes are formed. X and Y are produced. Now, sex ratio. How we count the sex ratio of the organisms? Ratio of sex at the fertilization is expected to be 1:1, because male produces equal number of X bearing and Y bearing sperm. See, male produce the equal number of sperm. X will be and Y will be in the same or equivalent quantity. Will be same and equivalent quantity. Now, this is the gamete of the female one, and this one is the gamete of the male one. Now, when we put these gametes or the eggs and the sperm in the Punnett square, this is called as Punnett square. So this whole one is the Punnett square. Well, from the upper part, this is the male one sperms, and from this side you see the female eggs. Now, female X, as I told you, this is the homogametic X and X, whereas this one is the X and this one is the Y sperm of the male. When now while counting out the ratio, when the sperm of the male with the X chromosomes will fertilize with the female one, will fertilize with the female one, that is, look out at the first Punnett square, X will fertilize with the X. So what we get? Pure female one. What we get? That is pure female one with double X. Now this X of the female one will the Y of the sperm of the male one will cross or fertilize with this X of the X1. Now what will be the progeny? That is the XY. Will get the male one. Now same with the second column, that is this one. This one will fertilize with this one, that is again double X will fertilize, and repeat will get the female one. Now same, this X will fertilize with this Y1 and repeatedly will get the female male one, that is XY. So what gamete we get? What gametes we get here? Double X are 2 in the Punnett square, as well as XY are also 2 in the Punnett square, whereas this one is the female one. Okay, this one is the female one and this one is the male one. So what we get the ratio here of male and female, that is equal 1:1. This one we get in this ratio. So in figure 4.16 what we see, the chromosomal sex determination, each son gets his X chromosomes from his mother. Each son gets X chromosome from his mother and his Y chromosome from his father. So this one is to keep in mind that the X and Y chromosomes, X chromosomes in the children or in the male is inherited from the mother. And what about the Y chromosome? Y chromosome is inherited from the father in the progeny. Both are equal. So this is the sex determination in the various organisms, genotypes of females and the genes of the male. Friends, what we get that the when we talk about the first regarding the insects, when we see the genotypes of the female, we get the double X of the insects, and the genotype of the male, then we get the XO. In the Drosophila, we get the double X in the Drosophila in the female one and the XY in the male one. Well, in the bird, fishes and butterflies, there is somewhat little different in the alphabet which is designated in the birds, fishes and butterflies. In birds, fishes and butterflies, we see WZ in female. Some different heterozygote condition in the females of birds, fishes and butterflies, and in the male we see the WW. that is the same or as like the these ones. But in these cases, in case of male you find here the homozygote, and in case of bird, fishes and butterflies you find the heterozygote. Now, what about the humans and other mammals and so on? So this chart is divided into four as we are studying humans and other mammals. The double X, as we studied, it is represented for the female one, whereas XY, that is the heterozygote, is designated for the male one. So friends, rest of the parts of our topic will be going to study in our the next video or in our next lecture. Uh, I request to please take down the notes and try to understand to this videos and take down some points from the slides which I have shown you, and the slides are been taken from the slideshare.com, and please concentrate on this topic. It is one of the special and spectacular topic with the in the subject of the genetics or the genes. Uh, as you study it, you will develop your interest in this, and please try to revise it. If you have any doubt and if you have any questions, please try to contact me on my WhatsApp number on my cell phone. Uh, yeah, or you all the students are inculcated in the WhatsApp group, so you can easily available the number from the WhatsApp group for your kind concern. With this, I stop my lecture. Thank you.